So I'm going to start with Maria. Yep, right off the bat. So again, you have, we have time, so 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes. Just tell us what you think has worked for sustainability of your center, what you think you could do, or think about it like if you were 10 years back when you started, what are things you could have done different if, it's just like basically how do you sustain your center and the activities beyond the NSF funding? I mean, again, the CREST funding.
I'll do what I can, and then I can come back if
yes,
others have other.
Yeah, it's gonna be an open discussion, so you're gonna get a lot of questions, right? So we're gonna go by like 5 minutes each, and then after that we'll open it up for discussion. Go ahead.
Okay, so we are phase 2, so we are actually, and we're far along in our phase 2 program. We are on our 9th year, so we will be finishing our funding in September of 2026. And so we're thinking a lot about sustainability. We have been all along, obviously. We wrote it all in the proposal, and some things are moving forward, and others we're still struggling with. And I think sustainability is a big term that you have to define in different ways. So one of the ways we were concerned about, of course, is the research, the research aspect. How do we sustain the research activity? And our goal was to participate in or create our own large mainstream, large center grants. And that's working not exactly the way we had planned it, but people within the CREST are combining forces and getting external funding. So recently we had so our center does materials, various types of materials, and we 5 of our faculty got together and got a 5 million grant on this Expand Quantum, QSIE program that was just funded last year. Another group is going for an STC center now. Our original proposal was was hoping we would go for something like a MERSEC, but we are finding that a little bit of a difficult target given our institution and what our institution can provide as support. But I think we're if you count, sort of various programs that people are pursuing, I think we are going to have a significant legacy in terms of our research activity. We hope also to organize, as it was mentioned by others, we don't call it the same way as other institutions were calling it yesterday, but we have something called becoming an institute, and as an institute, a research institute, we will be able to obtain certain benefits from the indirect costs and some personnel to help us with going after grants. But the other aspect of sustainability that we are really trying to have an impact in is in the culture of the campus, and in particular with regards to recruitment of PhD students. We are a minority serving institution, as everybody here is, but in our PhD program, the demographics of the PhD students is far from being, well represented by some of these underrepresented groups. So we've made an effort to impact the activities of the admissions committees for the various PhD programs that we're working with, and physics, chemistry, chemical engineering, so traditionally not well represented by minority groups. And we have made some important changes in the culture, I think, that we hope to sustain as we go on. And the last thing that we had, that I want to mention, that we had included in our proposal was finding a way to find ways to enhance the diversity of our faculty in those disciplines, and that is a bigger challenge. And maybe later I can talk about some of the things we're trying to do. But primarily, what we are still hoping to do is to create a presidential postdoctoral position funded through the university to attract candidates for postdocs working in our departments who are with the hopes that they will remain in the departments as faculty. So anyway, those are some of the things that we're doing.
Hi, Kim Cousins, Cal State San Bernardino. And our institution is at the low end of research for the CREST and URISE type programs. When we got funded for CREST 1, we did not have a master's program in either chemistry or physics, which are the two participating departments. When we got funded for CREST 2, we did not have a master's program in either of the disciplines. Our center works on material science, which is very interdisciplinary, and we now have a master's program in material science. Our first cohort started in fall of '24, so that's exciting. I'm so busy doing things like running master's programs, I didn't have time to finish my poster, but if you want, you could look at the little flyer for because that is one of our big legacies from the program. We are on year 5 of CREST 2. When I listened to everybody discuss yesterday the size of the awards and what they could and couldn't support and so on, with less institutional support, maybe $5 million is a good amount for a PUI. So that would be my recommendation to the NSF. Maybe you want to consider where the different types of institutions and their needs. You just don't pay undergraduates quite as much. You don't have to support them full time, blah, blah, blah. Our legacy, of course, includes close to 500 students that have participated in our programs, all undergraduates over the time until the 5 new graduate students. I've spent a lot of time personally as the CREST PI kind of gives me creds on campus, working with post-award, trying to improve processes, which is a big thing for a university that is getting more grant funding than they know what to do with and have the capability to handle. So, and I continue to work with our brand new Vice President for Research, who is very supportive of the kinds of efforts that we've undertaken, and it was a sea change. Nobody in our college had done this kind of program before, this kind of level of involvement. So I'd love to say that we have tons of follow-up funding. We've gotten a lot of companion funding, like instruments that we would never have gotten that we got in conjunction with CREST that will live beyond the program. We're working on some funding. I think the third big legacy is that we didn't have a real material science presence, and now we have 3 new faculty sitting in the other room who are going to be carrying this forward. I was sitting with one of them on the bus, and he was talking about this great next plan he has for semiconductors and quantum materials, and that's what we need going forward to leave our legacy and have the work continue.
Yeah,
You've got it.
So my name is Pawan Tyagi from Center for Nanotechnology Research and Education. So we are in the 6th year of our phase 1. So we got extension to kind of take care of the things we have on hand. So about the sustainability, there are kind of like a multi-facet. So the one is actually we have started generating some patents. So we are now looking forward to basically advance them to the prototype stage and go for commercialization. So that's what actually we are doing. So it's intellectual kind of property-based sustainability. Other part we have done is, so there are a number of institutional initiatives, like we had a PhD program. We just got started at the time when we started phase 1. So we have taken up that program in the center. Most of the PhD students are supported, almost 80% of our STEM PhD are supported by CREST. So we are producing that kind of level of kind of like reinforcement to the program, so that I think that center is considered as a valuable asset to do cutting-edge research-based PhDs. So making part of the institution mission. So our new president, actually, he is also trying to make our university a STEM-focused university. So he has been in center for several hours. He also brings his wife once in a while, just to kind of, yeah. So now, based on what we have been doing, so he has 2 out of 5 bullet points of his mission, 2 are related to the CREST Center. So it means they are serious about things. So we are looking forward, like there will be some like support structure created around that. So that is, so we have basically trying to take what the institution is trying to do at a programmatic level, and how do we basically kind of support that. We have also started supporting a lot of faculty. So it's basically our investment in faculty, and hopefully when they write grants, and the CREST Center is part of that. So we have currently like 20 faculty who has been working in different stages, and they are coming using resources, and so that is basically the initial investment we have made, and hopefully I think that will kind of lead to faculty subgroups kind of going for like other grants. That is actually the, so other than that, actually there's outreach focus is there. So we are in Washington, DC, where a lot of audience are available. Once we did one kind of like maker fair kind of, there is one event, and we have 18,000 people just came on campus for 2 days. So it's that level of possibilities. We are very well connected by metro and other things. So we are trying to have some kind of like a more nanotechnology driven, or like some exciting outreach components which are coming from center, giving our neighboring schools and other like community colleges a kind of a pathway to really experience those things, and basically come join the STEM part. So which is what university is trying to do. So yeah, UDC have been a 4-year institution for a very long period. Only last 5-6 years we have started focusing in the graduate side. So it is a kind of a period of transformation. So I'm glad CREST Center has done a quite big part of it, and we are looking forward to basically just continue, and how we can, so supporting institution mission, and basically investing in the IP, investing in faculty. That is the pathway we are looking for to sustainable aspect of it.
Good morning. My name is Arturo Pacheco-Vega. I am from California State University, Los Angeles, and represent the CREST Center for Advancement Towards Sustainable Urban Systems. In my case, this is the second center that we have. The previous center was the Center for Energy and Sustainability, and now we have a phase 1 of this new center. We call it CREST-MECIS. And so when it comes to the term sustainability, I mean, the sustainability is a huge concept. And until yesterday, I had a certain level of understanding, and then after the talk of John, it actually it made me realize that we have done actually more things towards sustainability than what I imagined before. And so I agree with Maria, with Kim and Pawan in that the CREST has certain legacy elements. For us, it has been, we have created a master's program in material science and engineering because our focus is on energy and water sustainability with a component of material science and development of novel materials for energy and water applications. And what has, so we created this master's program in addition to the typical master's programs that we have in mechanical engineering, civil, et cetera, et cetera. one of the main points that I heard and I want to also reiterate is what has been created by these types of centers. In my case, we created the first ever seminar series that we didn't have before in the college. So we now have institutionalized seminar series. We have an institutionalized master's program in material science and engineering. We have helped develop the careers of, in the first phase, we grew from 9 faculty members to about 22, and now we started this center with 24 faculty members. So we are, many of them are very young, and they have been able to achieve a certain level of productivity and success because of the CREST. So part of what they have done, we have acquired a PREM, and we have acquired other large grants, including, by the way, several grants related to instruments. So that has really been a mark of these CREST centers. The other thing that I think is very, very important is the way these centers have influenced the culture of research in the college, particularly in the College of Engineering, Computer Science, and Technology. In the past, the college that was the strongest in that regard was the College of Natural and Social Sciences, chemistry, physics, math, and psychology, all those guys. And now we have taken over, actually. The 5 departments, mechanical engineering, civil, electrical engineering, computer science, and technology, have taken over on the amount of research that is being produced at the college by the faculty and the students. Two important aspects there in terms of sustainability. How we're going to sustain the level of productivity and the research activities that we want to produce or to have. One is that because of these CREST centers, we actually got an endowment from the SICAM Foundation, a company that is in LA. And so we got an endowment of $1 million for, it's a faculty research endowment. So we provide from there, we provide funds for a faculty member. We have a call for proposals, and the faculty that wins the award has the funds to pursue a project for a year or two in the sub area or the general area of sustainability, depending on the specific area of expertise of the faculty. The second is that this foundation actually has funded a new center. It's a center for sustainable infrastructure. And the idea there is that we are trying to develop the infrastructure to support research within the college. I mean, we are a comprehensive institution with a very heavy load, teaching load, and if we don't do these types of things, then it's very difficult to actually pursue research and to work with students in these activities. So that's one. And this center is funded at a small level. It's $250 per year, but it's been funded for the last 5 years. So, and it's going to continue. So we are working toward actually getting them to endow the center, and then talking to the dean. She wants to actually, what about if we name the college? Well, those are things that are underway. But this, because of the work that we have done within the CREST, that has really enabled this to happen. And the last one is that right now, I mean, the dean asked me to become the director of research in the college. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to develop a research support services office that will enable faculty in all the areas of expertise to actually pursue research. Research activities, and part of that. So we have a certain number of staff members that are funded by CREST, co-funded by what we call the City Center, which is the other center I was talking about, and that is actually some sort of path towards sustainability that I foresee for the future.
So I'm going to share like basically some of my experience at sustainability and my first attempt and how I learned from it. So back in 2013, we got funded $4.5 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation. It was to establish a university transportation center. They have this UTC program that has been in existence since the 1980s. And basically every time it gets reauthorized, they do a call for proposals, and they get 35 centers, usually 20 tier 1 centers, 5 national and 10 regional. So when we applied back then, we got it. And in 2015, when the reauthorization was there, I kind of put all my eggs in that basket, saying like, hey, you know what? We're going for broke. Let's just go for the new grant, right, with the UTC, like to continue it. And we didn't get it. It was election year, things happened, we did not get it. I got to the point where, okay, so now we have about 25 students and no funding. Okay, so it's a decision time. Do you just cut your losses and say, hey, we tried, or do you sustain the center? And the mistake I did is, as I said, I just put all my eggs in that basket. I thought, like, well, we're doing great work. Why wouldn't they fund us again? We're an MSI, we're a HSI, we have all the right things, and we didn't, all right? So I had to start rebuilding at that point, and we started going after basically private industry and trying to get, and we would get 70,000 here, 80,000 here, 100,000 here, and it was tough. It was to the point where we had to kind of reduce the staff and the students to whatever we can support, and wait for the next reauthorization, right? But what I did is we started thinking like, you know what, maybe we're going about it the wrong way. Maybe we shouldn't just focus on one source of funding. Let's just diversify, right? And then we started turning our attention to NSF, okay, and DOE and other agencies. And what happened is then we applied for the NSF CREST, and we got it. We started in 2021, okay? And by then we had built up some of the private industry funding, because our unique thing is we have a lot of testers that nobody else in the United States has for bearings. And so we were able to, get about 400,000 plus. We started a K through 12 program, part of the FAIRST Center, the UTC, where we were getting 1,300, and the local community used to fund us for 150,000 every year to run these. So we had this 150 plus some some private industry, and then we kept it going, right, throughout those years, especially through COVID. But then when we got the NSF CREST, that helped us jumpstart a lot of things. At that point, that's where I went to the institution. Part of it, I said, like, look, we cannot sustain these centers if they don't become a part of this institution. They have to be either the institution believes that they're a part of it, or is it just like, hey, just get the money and then after that get out? So that's when the institution started the organized research units. And that was the savior, to be honest. Because the organized research units, the way it works, if you're an organized research unit, you have this umbrella organized research units that you can have multiple centers under it and multiple funding. And then the faculty associated with their centers, with this center, can apply for grants and have it under the organized research center and then get IDC. It also allows us to hire staff for the organized research units that can help in multiple grants. So, for example, you see that I have 4 staff. Not all of them are paid by the CREST. Actually, only one of them is paid by the CREST. Okay? So the other ones are part of the organized research unit. They help all of the activities under that. So the CREST is actually under the organized research unit. The organized research unit was the University Transportation Center for Railway Safety, because that's the one that started that organized research unit.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yes, but can I finish and then you can? Yeah. So when we started this, it helped, because now we were able to get faculty cluster hires, and instead of telling them, hey, you're coming to a vacuum, you're actually coming in to an established organized research unit that has faculty, staff support, students you can recruit from, and you don't just come in and try to rebuild everything. No, you come into something that has been built, and then when you put in your grants, you put in through the center, and you are able to get IDC that can help you sustain your work. And when we did this, so the faculty that came in, we applied for an Expand AI, NSF. Actually, the CREST helped us build capacity with the AI and sensors and automation, that instead of going for the cap, the NSF cap is 400,000, 200,000 a year. Okay? We jumped to the Expand AI because we had capacity, which is 2.8 million for 4 years. And we were able to get that. And then we applied for FRA funding, and we got 4 million. So now the organized research unit is actually managing 22 million in current active funding, and it becomes a part of the university. So now the university is investing. Hey, do you want postdocs? We'll give you postdocs. Do you want, what do you need for that to sustain that unit? Because it's, the value now is not just one person. It actually has 20 faculty involved, almost 90 students paid by the organized research unit, and 5 staff members. So it's kind of, we're a department within the university. And we're still in phase 1. We still have 2 years in phase 1 CREST, and we're hoping to apply for phase 2 and hoping to get it. But if we don't get it, it's not the end of the world. And that's the whole point, is that now we go for broke, right? We apply, but we have a backup plan. If that doesn't work, we can continue the CREST, because we have a lot of these other projects have elements of AI that we can continue the CREST without having to say, oh, we're just finishing up. And if other opportunities come in, we can still get them supported. And so that now I see for the future, I'm not really afraid of if one company stops funding us, is it going to be the end of the world? No. Okay? If we don't have, for example, NSF, is it, no, we're going to go for FRA, we're going to go for Department of Energy, we're going to go. And I think having that diversity helps you sustain. And when you don't put all your eggs in one basket, right, then you're a little bit more relaxed, and you can make sure that it shows that, hey, you have a good sustainability plan, that if you get it, you're able to sustain it throughout the year. So I don't see the CREST going away, okay, even when we finish our funding, because of this organized research unit, and because the junior faculty that have come in, they're still junior faculty. When they get tenure, they're going to be able to lead some of these and, you know, relieve me of a lot of the work that I'm having to do. So that has been the plan, and those are the lessons learned. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions. There is a microphone right there, so you can go to the microphone, or you can yell your question. We can hear you. And again, it's an open dialogue. It's an open discussion. You can direct your question to any of the panelists. You can have a general question and want us all to you know, put in our 2 cents. We can do that. Floor is open.
Or if you have specific success stories of your own.
Yes, you can share.
Please share.
Please.
So you mentioned about your ORU how does that impact your department? Let's say if you're a faculty mechanical engineering, but you're submitting all your proposals through your new ORU. So typically,
That's a good question. So the way the ORU works, okay, the ORU is a university, right? We're kind of however, whatever the ORU gets in grants, the model is 70%, right, goes to the university, right? I mean, cost of doing business, right? Now, there's 30%. The 30%, the way it gets distributed, 7% goes to the department. If there are multiple faculty in that, so if there are multiple departments, each department gets a percentage of that 7% based on how many faculty. So for example, you have 2, right, out of 5, then you get 2/5 of the 7%. If you have, if it's 1 from per department, each one gets 1/5. This way, every department is willing to be part of this. And it's not, just because I'm a mechanical engineering faculty, does not mean that, mechanical engineering gets all of that, because there is other people from other departments and we need to be fair with them. The other 7% goes to the PIs. Again, it's based on the time and the percentage effort, right? So for example, if you submit and you say, we have this effort that you have to put in, this guy is 40, this guy is 20, this guy is, that 7% gets split based on that, okay? Then 7% goes to the college, okay? If there are multiple colleges, again, it gets distributed based on the number of faculty, okay? And then 7% goes to the ORU. And that ORU then helps all of the faculty that have contributed to that. So for example, if they need an extra travel and it's not part of the budget, right, we can send more students to a conference. It can help everybody. And then 2% goes to the provost. If there is no ORU involved, you still get 7% for the department, 7% for the college, 7% for the department, but then 9% goes back to the provost, okay? So it makes sense if your project is aligned with one of the ORUs, right? Just submit through that, because then you have, at least you can go to the director and say, look, I contribute, because everything is transparent, right? You get this Excel spreadsheet that tells you exactly who contributed what. So if a faculty comes in and goes, Dr. Tarawneh, I put in 3,000 into that, can I have it? Sure, that's the whole point, right? And the department doesn't mind it. Why? Because I don't go to my dean or to my chair and say, can you help me? He can say, you have 7%, use it, right? So it actually, the department gets, so for example, like this past year, so they just distributed, the department got 45,000. Actually, sorry, 60,000 from the ORU. The college got 60,000, right? Why would they say no to, right? So I don't go and say, I need some of it back. No, they have it, they can use it on other faculty to help establish other faculty. I have my 7%, but sometimes when we need infrastructure that I cannot pay from my grants, like, hey, we need to knock a wall. Well, that's where the VPR steps in and says, don't worry, we'll cover it with the IDC we get. Questions, others? Again, guys, open dialogue. If you have anything to add, questions, we have plenty of time.
You had a question, right?
Yes, what percent of the funding for the staff in your ORU or the leadership, what percent of that funding comes from the campus? What percent is coming from grants?
It's all funded by grants.
It's all funded.
All funded by grants right now.
And in the beginning, was it funded?
In the beginning, it was 50%, so they gave me a half time, right? They paid for 50%, I paid for 50%, until we got some grants, and then we moved that to. So right now, we're fully funded by the ORU.
And do you have a pre-award, post-award, and then a few other people?
Yes. Yeah, we have a pre-award, post-award, and then, of course, like the people, the grant managers that help us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
question over
I
here.
want to know if any of the center have explored the commercialization of technology that has been developed in the center and service as a way of sustainability.
What was the question? I didn't hear it.
Your comments about the use or if you, any of the center have the experience on the commercialization of the technologies and the service that the centers are offering.
So actually, I can speak a little bit to this, again, being the, the low end of the campus support. I got the first non-IT patent on campus for a long time by kind of pushing walls until a committee would meet to approve it, and the CO agreed to cover, and the research office agreed to cover two halves of the legal costs. I'm currently working with an incubator, and I've been very fortunate to have a school of entrepreneurship that I've been partnered with, and that's how we've moved to the point of the incubator. So even the smallest schools can do it, but if you don't have the infrastructure, it requires a lot of sweat and tears.
One of the things we have done, so part of the UTC, the Transportation Center, we developed a sensor for bearing condition monitoring. It was developed through that, and then a private company was interested, or a startup. They came in and they licensed the technology and commercialized it, and we are their R&D, so they fund us every year to help them develop it, and they have implemented in the field. Now, why I bring that up, because all of the data that we get through this sensor is what we use for the CREST, for AI and machine learning and automation of the sensor. Right now, we're developing through the center, and the students who are working on it are sitting at the back. We're developing a crack detection sensor, completely done and developed through this center. We're in the stages of filing a patent, hopefully this month. And then once we do that, we are going to work with the company that we have established to license that technology and start commercializing it. We're in the testing and prototype phase. We're hoping to, once we get it, is to start getting a company to help us prototype and put it on. The idea is for it to be installed on drones and go in and inspect infrastructure. We're also working on two other sensors, a thermal sensor and a gas sensor. And all of those are being developed as part of the CREST. And since we already have the model, we've done it before with another sensor, the idea is now we have a company that's working with us, and we have basically part of the CREST is paying for development of these sensors. And once we get the data, what to do with it, because we also have deployments. So that's kind of the end goal is, yes, developing these things and commercializing them. And by the way, the other sensor is giving the university royalties from every device that's being sent.
So I would add, so like Kimberley, we had to break a lot of walls and have a lot of sweat and tears. So we have a lot of intellectual property coming out, and now the question is, what do you do with this? So we have been trying to bring that to our president attention, or like these people, so they hire some dedicated staff for the commercialization aspect. Because faculty, it's like too much work for us to basically to put energy. So we are, again, I think we are in the process of breaking down walls, so we are making effort. So we are trying to have some infrastructure developed around kind of this commercialization aspect. So yeah, we are work in progress.
And I think it's important to stress to your university the need to have people that can help you with patents. And so for us, we don't pay for any of that. It doesn't come out of the grant. They have, so the Office of the VPR has people that will take our idea, they will help us develop the patent, submit it, pay for the costs. It doesn't come out of our budget at all, right? Because it looks good for the university to do these things. And without it, right, it's kind of like a lot of the faculty thinking, I don't want to go through all of that paperwork and legal. I mean, because it's tedious. It's not easy. So yeah, having an office dedicated for that is great, and we do. So we're blessed that way.
In our program, we are trying also to train our students in order to think of innovators and have like that knowledge to like how to go to the bench to the market is one of the initiatives that we are trying to incorporate.
Well, if you have access to an incubator, and there are lots of them around, I'm having a really good experience because they're connecting with me with people, and yeah, that's one aspect, one way to go.
It's amazing, all the things that you are doing. Congratulations.
So I think this is a question for panelist to panelist.
Oh.
Yeah, to you, Kim. So how did you go and find this incubator?
I didn't.
They find you.
Because we have this School of Entrepreneurship, that is their goal, is to move towards having a lot of this support on campus. And I'm working with actually a graduate class in intellectual property, and they found the incubator and connected us. So it's actually tied to our academic
And by the way, there is a
mission.
lot of them. Like,
Yeah.
so in Brownsville, we have a big one, and we also have one here. And a lot of our senior design students, part of we make it as they work with people, with students from business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same project, right? So the engineers work on the design and the mechanical aspects or electrical aspects or computer, and then the business, their job is to how do we market this and how do we take it from what you did to a product and how much it's going to cost. And they have, I know the College of Business got a large endowment, and they built an incubator and I think in Westlaco, and then there is one in Brownsville. And the students can use those facilities. But also working with so a lot of our students are trained that, hey, it's a good idea, but then how do you commercialize it? And trying to get him to that idea that, hey, it's not just going to sit on somebody's shelf. It needs to go out to the market. But I know if you look with your College of Business, I'm sure they have something like that, because that's kind of like what they're heading for. It's like, how do you take it from a prototype to the market?
And I forgot to mention when I said our master's program, we have 2 tracks. We have a traditional thesis track, and we actually have a track in collaboration with the entrepreneurial program, where they take some material science courses, some entrepreneurial courses, and we only have 2 students in that track so far, so I can't tell you how successful it is, but we kind of envisioned it as a pathway to someone who was already in industry, already had a lot of technical skills, but wanted to move up and, innovate within their company kind of thing.
And I think one of the things, like, so for us, when we did cluster hires, a lot of the faculty that came in, they say, junior faculty, they said, we want PhD students. If you're going to do AI, we want PhD students. So the university knew that, hey, we can't just do things just with undergrad and masters forever, especially if we become R1, right? So we started 2 doctoral programs. And the reason they started, by the way, we have been attempting to start a doctoral program since 2008. Okay, and it was no. Not till recently, like the past, after they started seeing, the Texas Coordinating Board started seeing that, hey, we are bringing large grant that can sustain students. It's not going to be like, oh, the institution will fund it for 5 years and after that it's going to die away. That we got these. So now with the 2 doctoral programs, the nice thing about it, that's an extra resource, because we have some doctoral students that are working in the CREST that are being paid by the department, the program, because they're part of the 10, so they're paid by the program, right? It will sustain them for 2 years, and then after that, we'll take over, right? But that's an extra resource. And if you embed your center with some of the new programs, all the new programs come with funding, okay? You can get some of that funding to your center. Like, hey, since this is in material science and I'm doing material science in CREST, how about you give me 2 of those positions, right? And so they try to leverage some of the resources from the university by putting yourself in lining up with what is their mission, right? So for now, if, for example, if I go to Dr. Sagan and say, if you give me this much money, I can accelerate this student. And that's what's happening right now, right? So one student is doing teaching, right? And so I said, look, he's doing teaching. It's going to take him 4 years. You want him to graduate in 2.5, right? Okay, so give me money to pay him as research, and now he can focus on research, not do teaching, and then accelerate. He'll say, okay. He'll say, there you go, there's the money. And it has happened in a few other departments. But if you go and say, well, give me the student, give me this money for this master's student, I'm going to say, masters are not going to count towards my R1, right? I want PhD. So, exactly. So make sure that you align yourself with the university mission, and then you can go ask for resources. And I think embedding your center as part of the university mission is the best way to sustain it.
Yeah, that's true. Are the students listed on the pack? You know?
Yes, they will be.
Okay, and well, I was wondering about the one that was licensed already. That's actually being marketed now. But the other question is the royalties.
Yes.
So the university gets a percentage, but then that university divides it to
all the inventors.
Right. Is that?
Yes, I mean, okay, let's just say I'm not going to get rich out of this, at least not now, right? I'm hoping that, once we sell this sensor to every train in the world, I'll be rich. But no, yes, you get a percentage, it's negotiated, right? And every inventor gets a percentage. And we had, in that license, we had actually two students named on that patent. So they also get royalties regardless of, where they are or where they're working. So yeah, all of that is negotiated in the agreement. The university does get the majority of it, right, because it was done through the university, but all of the inventors do get a percentage.
And are you in control of some of it being reallocated back to the CREST Center? I guess. I mean, that's part of the system.
Yeah, so basically the royalties, the way it works, right, you can either have it go back to your center and put in your IDC, or you can say, I want a check. Right? I mean, it depends. So for example, for me, if it's $1,000, right, I would rather it go to the center. It's like, it's not gonna make me richer. But right now what happens is the pilots are not big enough. So we're retrofitting 6 cars here, 8 cars here, because a lot of class 1 railroads are very hesitant to adopt new technology unless there is congressional, mandate. And so right now it's just kind of piloting, right? So the university gets a percentage of every unit that's being sold, but it's not a lot of money, right? Now again, if it starts becoming a big thing and now every train in the United States will have those sensors, that's become a big value. And at that point, yes, of course, you can negotiate part of it going to your center, you can negotiate part of it, at least my part, right? I cannot negotiate students' part. So those other guys they'll get their cut. But as long as I'm affiliated with the university, then I basically can decide what I want to do with that. It's the same thing with the incentive that Dr. Sagan was talking about, and Thomas. There is now an incentive for people to do research. You get up to a $5,000 one-time payment for a grant that is above 50,000. So if you bring in a grant for 50,000 in 1 year, you get 5,000, right? You can bring 5 million, you still get 5,000. So it's capped at 5,000, right? But what it does, it makes incentivize people to go and get grants, right? Now, when you get that 5,000, you can tell the university, I would like it as a paycheck, put it in my paycheck, or can you put it back on my IDC? If it goes to your paycheck, right, they'll deduct whatever taxes and whatever. If it goes to your IDC, you get the full 5,000. So that one they started. It's gonna start next year. It's not a permanent raise on the salary, but it's nice, right? So all you need is a $50,000 grant, which it's not very difficult to get. But yes, they capped it because so if you can bring 50 million, you're still gonna get the 5,000, but it's better than nothing.
I had a question about the master's programs.
There is a microphone.
Thanks. The two master's programs that you started, the one that was kind of hybrid technical business, what department do they actually get the degree from, and what is it called?
It's a Master's in Material Science Entrepreneurship Pathway, and it's run through the College of Natural Sciences. So it's not a department per se.
So in our case, the master's program that we developed is a Master's in Material Science and Engineering. And it's a joint program between the College of Engineering, Computer Science and Technology and the College of Natural and Social Sciences. So there are professors from chemistry, from physics, from NSF, and professors from material science, mechanical engineering from ECST. The degree is from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. So it's housed in the Department of Mechanical Engineering.
And these now are getting more common as we become more interdisciplinary. So we started a master's in biomedical engineering. It's not housed in the mechanical, and it's not housed in the School of Medicine. It's housed right now in the College of Engineering. But students from School of Medicine and from sciences and engineering can go into that. And so it's not owned by any department. It's owned by the college is managing it. The same thing by our two doctoral programs, they're not in any department. So the computer science is not really a department program, it's a college. So everybody in the college can have students in that program. And faculty, the way the faculty is basically your expertise. If you have any expertise in computer science, you can be with sustained publication records and grants, you can be a core faculty and teach courses. So the students can take courses from civil. If a faculty is teaching an AI course in civil, they can take courses from mechanical, electrical, computer science. And so we try to make it that everybody feels that they own the program, like they're part of the program, and it's not just, oh, all the credit goes to, and for the university, it doesn't really matter, right? Because they can count all of those doctoral programs, so it doesn't matter who's housing it.
Yeah, I was just really interested in the one that was connected with business, because that seems really unique, that a technical and business are kind
There are postcards over there if you'd like to learn more.
No, thanks.
Yeah, I got a question extended on that one. The degree that's earned, what is it under?
Well, so the biomedical engineering, it's going to be a master's degree. It's an engineering degree, biomedical engineering. The computer science is going to be basically a degree in computer science with interdisciplinary applications. That's what it says. That's what the degree will say. Right, but the student can be in different fields. So it could be a civil engineer. So for example, we have one of the students, Mark, back there. He's a civil engineering student, but his degree is actually going to say, PhD in computer science with interdisciplinary applications.
So in terms of accreditation, is that taken care of as well? I mean, who owns it in terms of getting that accreditation for the program?
Well, I mean, the computer science faculty help manage that degree because the majority of the faculty use it. But again, the college takes care of any accreditation requirements. So like all the core faculty. So the core faculty are not just computer science. There are core faculty from other departments, and they all work on that accreditation.
Maybe I can interject a little bit. I think the key is what can you do within your college? Because in our case, for instance, it's housed in the Department of Mechanical Engineering because the college doesn't really have the capacity to manage it. So we decided, okay, we have the capacity to manage the program that we created, and that's why it's housed in ME. But it could be housed also in the college if the college had the capacity in terms of staff.
When we applied for the program, we asked for staff for that program. We asked for a director position and a staff position. to help with, the paperwork, all of that, but all of the faculty that are core faculty assist that person. So that person says, I need this kind of information. They all help provide that information. But we have dedicated staff. Every time we ask for a program, we ask for dedicated staff for that program. That's our strategy to get more staff into the college. So we're not adding burden to the college because those staff will be under the college, but they're new staff members. Questions?
So I would like to hear from your experience for the ones on phase 2 and the ones on phase 1, thinking about applying for phase 2. Since CREST centers, we focus on recruiting students to get involved in research topics, and then let's say you're able to recruit the students on year 2, year 3, and they will basically start on year 4, or year 3. Then, if you apply for phase 2, you need to create a new team. A new team of investigators. And that might impact, right? That might impact some of those topics. So I would like to hear from you if creating a new team, for phase 2 has impacted that negatively or is a positive thing.
So we did not, when we applied for our phase 2, I think the requirements were a little bit different. They were a little bit freer. We did not have to create a new team entirely. We had to make changes on our phase 1, but not to that extent. That's one thing. So, but in our particular case, the way we fund students is we don't fund students throughout their entire time. We support them for 2 years, maybe 3 if they need, if there's a need, somebody's close to finishing and they need. But the mentors and are committing to have their own funding to get their students through. So if you have to change, the team, the original mentor that took the student from the first team should have a mechanism to fund the student. That's how we did it. We didn't do it with that reason in mind. We didn't do it because we thought we had to change the team, but we thought it was a good way to get more impact from our funds for students. So we don't support students for their entire stay in the graduate program. We support them for part of it, and the mentors have a commitment that they know they have to finish the job, or yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So probably I'm going through the exact same situation which you kind of mentioned. At our institution, we support all the students completely, tuition, stipend from day of entry to a day of departure. And there has been situation where actually we have recruited a student in the 3rd year or 4th year, because during the COVID period we were not able to recruit them. But anyhow, so right now we are in the 6th year of, and we did not get the renewal, we were not invited for the full proposal. So then I have been talking with Dr. Cubano that we need to kind of we have funds which we can use. So get 1 more year of extension to make sure most of them graduate by then. I have been talking with my dean to have the tuition support for those who may not be able to complete in 2 years. So that is kind of likelihood. There is another center which I'm part of. There's a NASA center where actually they have similar focus. So I'm not expecting many will be remaining after 2nd year, but it's a good idea to kind of plan for contingency, what if it doesn't come, then how you're going to take care of it. And as Dr. Tamargo is mentioning, there may be many models, so you don't have to commit from the full, so that kind of thing might be helpful.
In our case, as I said, we are in the 3rd, we just started our 4th year of phase 1. So we have kind of 2 full years going in phase 1, and we are applying for pre-proposal to be invited for phase 2. So if we get phase 2, technically we have 7 more years. So any commitment we make to the students is not going to be an issue. Now, if we don't get it, we have, as I said, like we've got 2 other large grants that are running for 4 more years. We can easily shift students to that if the focus is very similar. I also, as I said, if it's PhD and I need money, I can always go to the VPR and say, hey, I'm short. Can you please fund us? Because these are PhD students. The thing is right now, and if you saw yesterday, the whole talk is we've reached 90 million in expenditures, right? So we don't have that issue. The issue is they need 142 doctoral students graduating in the next 2 years, right? So all of the money is going there, right? So I'm taking advantage of that if I need to. We don't need it, right? But I'm just saying that if we need it. So we're not gonna, I never make a commitment to a student and come back and say, sorry, money is done, you're out. No, we'll find ways, and again, I have a healthy IDC build up that I can always, whenever that happens, I use the IDC to get the students go through.
We're up to 4 now. Because we're center.
So yeah, so that's kind of like what the plan is. But yeah, I mean, we always plan like for the 4 years. We always make plans. We know like, hey, if the grant finishes and there's no funding, what can we do? Is it going to be department? Is it going to be IDC? Is it going to be college? But we're never going to go to a student and say, sorry, you're on your own. No. I mean, when we committed to somebody, we commit until they graduate.
Well, I'd have to say that was better than when I was a graduate student, when my PI's NIH grant ran out. I was lucky enough to get Welch money because I was in the state of Texas, but otherwise I would have been teaching the rest of my time.
I had actually a bad journey, and that's why I don't want to inflict that to my students. What happened to me is like I finished my master's, I started my PhD, and suddenly my PhD advisor left. He took another job and said, sorry, tough luck. And then I basically had no funding and was working 3 jobs trying to just like, pay for the rent. And then the department says, look, we can give you teaching. And it was like teaching 4 different labs. I mean, it was like tedious work and still had to do research. So it happens, right? But that's why I don't want to inflict that on my students. I know it's horrible, right? So for us, like we commit, when we tell you, hey, we're going to pay for you to do your PhD, we are going to pay for you to do your PhD one way or another. It might mean shifting some of the work, right? But this is the nice thing. The Expand AI we got has many similar things to the CREST. So the shift is not going to be that hard, right? So people who work in material science, we can always shift them to the UTCRS and do projects through the transportation. So we always have that plan, right? So it's not going to be a big shift, but yes, some students might have to do something different.
So maybe just, I completely coincide with the other panelists and in their take, in their approach. And in our case, we have only up to master's students, so these master's degrees. So we commit for 2 years, maybe 2.5 years for them to have the support. And we do this we don't recruit on fall or spring. We recruit continuously, depending on the professor that has a student that is ready to join. So that being said, contrary to Constantine, I cannot go to my AVP. So that's absolutely is a no, and that's one. Second, I have a 0 IDC. So 0 IDC comes back to us. For reasons that I prefer not to mention, because I want to be completely politically correct. And then the third is that we have a contingency plan for the case in which phase 2 doesn't quite go the way we would like to go. but no student will be left behind from that perspective.
And as MSIs, I think that's important, especially with recruiting students. It's different, for example, if you're in Ohio. I know when I was in Nebraska, some funding was cut, and some students, the advisor would tell them, sorry, no more money. We'll try and get you a TA, but I don't guarantee it. And it's, some students had to go, let's say, to the science and do under math just because they didn't have the money and they're already, way in, you're just, going back. As MSIs, we cannot do that. A lot of our students, when they cannot afford the tuition, they cannot afford to do this. So if we don't commit to them, and all it takes is for me to tell one student, hey, you know what? Sorry, ran out of money. I can't, and then after that, I'll have 15 people start running. So it's not something I want to start doing. Again, we're now in a very nice phase where there is so many different options. It's not going to always be like that. Once we become R1, it might not be always like that. But over the next, and that's what I always tell the students, it's the best time to do a PhD now because you will get it paid no matter what because they need it. But things might change, right? As I said, I always try to keep a healthy reserve of IDC just for these cases. If, let's say, a project finished and we're short one semester, we cover it from there. If, let's say, we need an extra staff, we can cover it from there. And I guess that is something that the institutions need to understand. That's one of the first things I fought for, is the IDC. Because if you don't have an IDC and you keep on having to go beg people for money, it becomes really tedious. Lucky for me, I have not asked anything from the college or the department over the last 5 years, right? They get some help at the beginning, like they gave half a time of, and then as soon as we got a grant, we just put it through the grant.
Someone else has had a question.
Yeah, so I had two questions. One has to do with the exceptional nature of, okay. Sure. Okay. I have two questions. One has to do with the exceptional nature of UTRGV's kind of capacity to provide funding for you as you need it. I think that is really exceptional. So I guess one question for everyone is, okay, what do you do when that's not the case, where it isn't just that you go, see this person and they can kind of fill gaps? And then another question has to do with, as we in our center are trying to transition to become an organized research unit, and our campus has only 3 organized research units, right? Which is, so when I saw your campuses, I was like, oh, this is interesting, because actually, most of the UCs have many ORUs. So we're still in the beginning stages. But I guess I would like your input, Constantine, both now and I beg you that you might assist me later in developing the best strategy to convince our campus that this is a really excellent idea and that they should support it. So those are 2 things.
Yeah, sure. I'm up for hire. No, I mean, keep in mind, the organized research units, we get the 19, not everybody is producing the same. So you understand. There are some organized research units that their production is maybe $40,000 the whole year, right? But their value is in community outreach, right? So some of them work with museums, some of them work with, healthcare. So they have impact in another way that the university feel that it's important, and those are ones that get a lot of support from the institution because they're critical to the mission, but they cannot have the opportunity to get a lot of grants, okay? The other ones bring in, funds. Now, the thing is, when one of the things I think you should, and again, how can you sustain it differently? It needs to be that you're developing the junior faculty. Because right now, I can, if a junior faculty come to me with a request, right? I want them to focus on research and publications, right? I take care of that. Don't worry. I want to take 5 students to this conference. I don't have money. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. But eventually what we want is we want the junior faculty to start getting their own grants, right? So this way the students, they don't all fall on me, right? So if a faculty comes, okay, hey, it was CREST, then I go to the faculty and say, you got this grant, can you take the student to your grant, right? And then let us bring in somebody else to this. I think that's the message has to be with junior faculty. Like, the money's not going to always, there's not going to be always an open faucet. At some point, somebody's going to close that faucet and money is short. So what is the different way is to make sure that you develop junior faculty, and those junior faculty share that mission, and hopefully they're developing their own labs, their own research, and start to take some of those students on. So this way, if something happens, hey, you guys will be paid by X faculty, you guys will be paid by Y faculty, and then we'll take care of, you know. I had to cut, again, like once the funding was down, I had to cut a lot. Like, and again, meaning cut, I didn't tell students, done, there's no money. No, we transitioned them. So for example, if they're bachelors and they wanted to do masters, I said, I'm sorry, I cannot fund your masters. So once you finish your bachelor's, you know, the stipend for bachelors, you need to maybe look somewhere else. The ones with masters, we finished their masters, and we didn't have any PhD anyway. I transitioned them to some of my partner institutions, like Nebraska. I have very good ties with Nebraska, A&M, and so forth. So we never tell somebody, you're done, right? But I stopped recruiting more. And so that hurt, because then I had to start from zero again, right? So what we're trying to do to avoid this is hoping that the junior faculty can develop their own teams. So this way, a student say, hey, go join this faculty's team, go join this faculty's team, and they'll fund you. I think that has to be the strategy, is you need to develop partnership, and you need to develop your junior faculty, and your junior faculty need to be successful. They cannot all depend on, hey, there is this nice faucet that I can always ask for. No, I mean, it's now there, but it might not always be there.
Same strategy, same idea.
I don't know if, just to add to that, I mean, when that kind of situation doesn't exist, where the whole institution is kind of going in a direction where supporting the CREST or the research activity is a high priority, you still have, and I'm not saying I necessarily did this way, but at the time that you're writing the proposal, you do talk to your institution, and they have to give you some level of institutional commitment that they will support your activities. And I think addressing the issues of contingencies for when things don't go the way you expect them to go might be a very good way to get your institution to buy in. And then they will go in and give you some level of support that you might really need.
Yeah, and I should clarify that we actually are one of those that gets 40% of the IDC. So, you know what I mean? It's so we're getting a lot of IDC back towards, but because of the flat funding for CREST, it's basically just filling in gaps for inflation, you know? Yeah, but that is, thank you so much for your points.
Yeah, I would say that, as Constantine mentioned, in my case, of course, when you are going to submit a proposal and they see the numbers, they become very enthusiastic in trying to help you, right? And then the money comes, and then essentially you are on your own. That's typical, right? I mean, it's typical. I'm being very, very transparent here. But I think that what Constantine mentioned, you know, trying to help your junior faculty so that they can take on bigger roles and then bring more grants, I think that's a good way to actually move forward.
Question with the ORU. So I'm new to that. I haven't heard of this before. And when you describe it, initially it sounds like these ORUs, whether you have 3 or 4, are in silos in terms of budgeting and reporting. I'm just trying to see whether or not there's any synergy between these, and whether a faculty could migrate between the 4, and how does that work? How does that look?
Yes, actually, the way the model works, right, there is 19, okay? We have 6 in our college, okay? So we have 1 in manufacturing, additive manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. We have the transportation. We have the Industrial Assessment Center. We have the TMAC, which is the Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center. We have the Center for Nanotechnology. And we have the Center for Broadening Participation. The idea here is, so for example, faculty that work in, let's say, the CREST, they're not married. That nobody's forcing them and say like, you must submit under my organized research unit, or that's it. I am just never gonna talk to you. No. What we do is very simple. Let's say a faculty has an idea that lines up with manufacturing. Then they can submit their grant under the manufacturing ORU, right, which is led by another director, and be part of that. So for example, I have 1 faculty that's part of 3 ORUs. They have 1 grant under the transportation because they submitted it to TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, so it makes sense to be under my ORU. Another one in manufacturing, so they submitted it under the manufacturing ORU, and they have another one under Center for Broadening Participation because it's more on the engineering education, right, for NSF. So the idea is, now, for example, if you're doing something in space, so there is also one in the science that is more for space research. They can go through that, right? So the organized research units that exist, you don't have to go just, so it doesn't make sense for somebody who's submitting something for NASA, for example, especially if it's space, to go through my organized research unit. It makes no sense, right? So yes, you can go and migrate, and a faculty can be part of different. The way it works, the faculty, whoever submits grants through my ORU, the way the success metrics work, so every year, Dr. Sagan gets all of the ORU directors in one room and shows us, of course, all the statistics. This is how much money you got, this is how much money you spent, this is how many faculty were part of your ORU, this is how many proposals were submitted through your ORU, this is how many students you funded, and all of that, right? And that's kind of food for thought. And sometimes it's kind of nudge, nudge. Hey, look what others are doing, you need to step up, or, but in reality, there is faculty that are associated with multiple ORUs. And if you're associated with another ORU, then that 7% goes to that ORU.
You're split between 2? Or?
Usually, you cannot submit a proposal under 2 ORUs.
So I guess my question too is there synergy allowed?
There is synergy allowed. There is synergy allowed. It's just kind of like, so for example, we can work with other ORUs. The problem is that you cannot, like, the proposal cannot be submitted under 2 different ORUs. Right? So you have to choose. Is it going to be submitted under my transportation ORU, or is it submitted under the, let's say, the space ORU? So the faculty have to decide which one he's more aligned with in that one. Now, as a faculty, he'll get the 7%, right? My center is not going to get anything when he submits it through the space, and that's the whole point. It's like, you know, that ORU now will support it. But if he wants staff support for that particular project, it's not offered by me, it's offered by that ORU. So for example, let's say he wants extra travel for something related to the space ORU. Then that's not on me. I tell him, go to that director and have him, because it wasn't submitted through me. If it is submitted through me, it's my responsibility. Now, if a faculty is working on me on something through one grant and he has another grant, whatever is under my grant, I'll honor it. Whenever is under that grant, you need to go to that other ORU. And that's what we talk about the directors. Hey, if a faculty is working for both ORUs, you honor your stuff, I honor mine, because there is no splitting.
Okay, I'm just trying to transpose it to what, you know, we do, and I think most of us, you know, when you have a proposal, you write it, there's a proposal routing form, you list the PIs and the co-PIs, and you know, a lot of times they could be from different departments, you know, different colleges, and from that level, you know, it's kind of understood, you know, in terms of, you know, the budget allocation and who's responsible for reporting. I'm just trying to see how this ORU.
Okay, so the system that yesterday was shared, the one that Thomas shared with you, okay, so that one is very detailed. Meaning, you go there, you list your PI, your co-PIs, percent effort, okay? Then signatures go to every faculty's chair. So for example, let's say you have 5 faculty for 5 faculty departments and 3 different colleges. That process will go through so first every faculty will sign, then it's going to go to their representative chair, then representative dean. If you list the director of an ORU, it also has to go to that director for approval. Everybody has to approve. One person does not approve, it does not go anywhere. So the possibility of somebody listing you without you knowing is non-existent. So sometimes like faculty don't tell me and they put something through my ORU. I get it and it says, because it requires my signature. Do you approve? And I'll talk to the faculty and say, hey, why are you submitting it through my ORU? Well, this. Okay, then I approve it. If not, I said, nope, sorry, I don't think that this is the right ORU. Maybe you need to go to somebody. But it cannot be submitted without everybody's approval and everybody's notification of, hey, now you know who's involved and what college will get what.
And what about in terms of a lead PI? Is it enough for the lead PI's chair to sign it? Or
no.
Is there such thing as a lead PI? It doesn't sound like there is.
Well, no, there is the lead PI. Everybody's PI. Everybody's, like, so if you have 1 PI and 4 co-PIs, the chair of every one of them has to sign it. So it's going to go to 5 people, the 5 co-PIs, right? It's going to go to the 5 chairs. And then if it is, let's say, if they're all from one college, then it's going to go to the dean, right? If it is from 3 different colleges or 4, it's going to go to the associate deans for research in all 4 colleges for them to sign. It cannot be routed. Anytime you list any department or college, that department the chair has to sign and the respective dean has to sign. And if you list an ORU, there is only place for 1 ORU. That's the thing. There is no split. It's 1 ORU and that director also has to sign. So it all falls apart if I say no. Then the faculty has to say, okay, fine, I'm just going to remove the ORU and just submit it without an ORU. That's fine. You can do that. Sorry, thank you.
When they submit without the ORU, where does the overhead go? The return.
So again, you still get 7% still goes to the PIs, 7% goes to the departments, and 7% goes to the colleges. The remaining 9% goes to the provost. So the 7% that was supposed to go to an ORU just goes to the provost because there's no ORU associated with it.
So just to complement, I guess from that perspective, it's better to submit it through an ORU because then you get the help that you require from that particular unit. Right?
But the nice thing, the way it was done, is just to make sure that faculty understand that submitting through an ORU is not going to take away from anything. It's not like we're taking a part of the department or college or the PI. No, your chair is still going to be there. The 777, that is not, all we're doing is, in reality, we're taking it away from the provost. And helping you, right? So we're not taking, so if a faculty says, I don't want to give you money, okay, don't give me money. I mean, the money's still going to stay at the university, it's going to go to the provost, not going to go to an ORU. That's not going to take away from your 7%, the departments or the college. And it was done there with all our feedback with the ADRs because we wanted to tell them, I don't want, if you tell a faculty, look, if you're under the ORU, we're going to split it. You're going to get less money. They're going to say, no, then why? I'm not going to go to an ORU. No, it doesn't take away from anybody's cut. It just, hey, there is 9% left. If you go through RU, 7% goes to RU, 2% goes to the provost. If no RU, 9% goes back to the provost.
But the main difference is that now you are committed to help, right?
Yes, which
is good.
Which is good.
Exactly.
And actually it's good because then I show more expenditures. right? So, I mean, I'm happy to give the faculty back the money
Yeah.
and spend it because
Yeah.
it shows expenditures.
Right.
Like, that's the key thing, is expenditures. And you get more bargaining power if you have more expenditure. So the more expenditure, right now, my organized research unit has the highest expenditures of any of the 19. So when I asked, so the two people that did our the media and all of that, I didn't pay them a cent. They're part of the John Sagan's team. They did all of the work. It's not part of my staff. I don't pay them. They do that. If I ask them, hey, can you please come to this event? He's not going to say no, right? So it gives you bargaining power, right? And that's the. Am I getting that money and using it somewhere else? No. I mean, a faculty says, I brought you 3,000. Can I have it back? Sure. There you go. Actually, sometimes I even give more if faculty don't. Let's say they brought in 3,000, but they need 5,000. It's okay. Surplus. There you go. That's the whole point of this, is to help the faculty and make sure that. Last time we took, for example, we took 25 students to a conference. It costed 55,000. The grant budget only has 15,000 of travel the whole year. So where did I pay the rest? IDC. You know, so it benefits the students.
It's a true collaboration.
Questions? If we don't have any questions, you know, we could, again, like, you know, we can go out and, you know, relax, stretch your legs, and after that you can start, you know, talking to the students. They're here with their posters. If you want to have discussions with us individually, you can. So it's kind of, again, it's an open discussion. We're a family. You guys can ask us anything. We're here to help.
All right.
Okay. And I would say take the time to, like, you know, talk to the students. We have like a lot of students, about like 25 students here. They're presenting posters, and just talk to them about their journey. I know that you guys probably have students with similar backgrounds, so. Yes, please. Yes.
So I'm Andy Schuler at the University of New Mexico, and last year we actually set up a listserv for all the CREST PIs, which has been kind of underutilized. We got everybody on it last year, and I don't know if we've ever used it for anything, but there was a suggestion that maybe we should revitalize that and use it. So I think what we'll do is use the email list you have for this conference, which is a pretty good list, and we'll send you instructions, if you're on that list, instructions on how to get on this listserv, and then you'll be on the listserv, right?
And the nice thing about the listserv is, if you have, let's say, if you're advertising you, and you want it to go to all of us, you can use the listserv and advertise it and say, hey, share this and see if any of your students wants to go there. If you're having a symposium or a conference that you think that all of us can benefit, just send it through the listserv. When we have events, we'll send it through the listserv. And just so that, you know, we already picked the date for, with NSF, of course, approval, the date for the next meeting. So it's going to be in California. And it's going to be August 18th and 19th, is it? Or 19th and 20th. 19th and 19th and 20th. So it's going to be August 19th and 20th in Ontario, next year.
And don't
So-
fly into LAX.
Yeah. Fly into Ontario.
Even if it's a
International
connection,
Airport.
it's better than flying into LAX.
Not the Canadian.
Not the Canadian
Not the
one.
Canadian one.
The one in California.
Ontario, California. Don't go to Canada.
Yeah, don't go to Canada and wait for. And what we want to do is, if you have any feedback, like, please, I urge you to fill out the post survey. So the post survey will be released at 1:30 today. Take the time to fill it out. Let us know. Like, so this is the organizing committee. No topic is off limits, right? Tell us what you want to see next year, right? Now, the nice thing about it, we know the venue, we know the time, we have a whole year to plan, right? We're going to have some poster sessions, but hey, next year you say, let's do a proceedings or let's try and do a competition for the poster. So whatever it is, right, that you want to do, now is the time. Let's just say, hey, let's have a discussion about this topic, right? If we want to invite your VPRs and say, hey, we're going to invite somebody to talk about organized research units in we'll fly Jan Sagan there to talk to your VPRs, right? No topic is off. Just share it with us and say, hey guys, like that's our job, is to organize the agenda. It's going to be very similar format, probably 4 sessions. We're going to have an early career workshop like we did this year, poster session. If there is some of the sessions you want them to be interactive, some of them you want them to be panels. If you want to invite people to be on a panel, let us know. I mean, nothing has been set in stone other than the time and the place. That's it.
Oh, and we're talking seriously about having some parallel sessions too, based on the feedback.
Right. Yeah, if you want like parallel sessions.
Sorry, are we done with that? I just have one, following up on the IDC discussion, just a thought. Like, seems like there's a lot of interest on how different institutions are doing IDC. Sounds like you guys have a great model. Would it be worthwhile to maybe do a little survey of all the centers? Just, a little, whatever, Survey Monkey or something?
By the way, you know what? No, we have the
No, there was a question on the survey.
We have the mover, and
okay.
George is sitting right there. We can do a poll right now.
Okay. Because I'd be curious about questions like, all right, how much IDC do the PIs get back? How much IDC does your center get back? And what are you expected to do with that? Like, we get nothing, but the university takes care of all the post-award, pre-award stuff, right? So we're not expecting to hire staff. But it'd be nice to get something back, right?
Yes.
So how do I negotiate that? Because they're going to come back and say, hey, we do everything for you, right? But if there's other universities that have that set up and you're getting something back, I can go to my people and say, look,
and
you're
we can
below the bar.
And ask your feedback. And by the way, the poll, we can have it. Yeah, so if you respond to the poll, by the way, what we're going to do, so that full transparency, the reason I put the Wova app is because they will create a 76-page report of everything. All the interactions, whatever you did in the Wova app will be in a report. Georgia will go through it first, right? And then we're going to release it to everyone, all the attendees and NSF. So we also, the video, they're taking video of these sessions. So all of the sessions other than the NSF 2 sessions, which they asked us not to record, all of the other sessions and presentations will be given to us in a USB, and then we're going to post them into the MECIS website. The page you went in, we will replace the conference now that it's done, right? We'll put it a page which has the pictures, all the pictures, whatever these guys took. We'll put in a link to the presentations. So I got permission from Jan Sagan and Thomas Spencer to put in their presentations. So you'll go in, you'll have pictures, presentations, link to the video. So if you want to show somebody, hey, look at what they're doing, you can do that. So it's going to be a live page, and every year, whatever we do, we're going to put it in that. So it's like a one place where you can go and get all of that information.
So can I add, so Andy, I think as we are doing this listserv, I'm not sure whether all the PIs or faculty who might have a kind of input about the IDC, yeah, surely we can do the UI, I think today, but that might be a question which might be kind of, as a community, all of us can just plug in, and yeah, that's kind of like it's one of the biggest pain for most of the people. So I think having a cumulative understanding, like how many places this is happening systematically, randomly, so that's a good to kind of really bring all the MSI in the thinking mode about it, and just kind of really say, hey, this is a community and this is high performing side, and like and this is how its side is here. So yeah, I think something on the listserv might also be a useful.
Right, me just trying to argue, give me more. It's like, look, this is what everybody else is doing. You need to at least do that well.
And I guess like we need to think of strategies, guys, to use this. Now that we have a CREST PI, cohort, right? Let's just start talking to our administrator. Like next time, maybe we do an administration session where we invite all our administrators, right, and have a panel and let them hear and say like, hey, you know what, this is what you're doing. Do you want to be, put to shame by somebody else who's doing things better and you're not willing to do this? We need to use this. That's how you leverage things, right? That's how you leverage things. And by the way, like the first time when I took my administrator to the UTC, for them, it was an eye-opener. I said, do you see how much investment other universities are doing, and you guys don't want to help us? And so that kind of said, okay, we're way behind the 8 ball. So I think that that's the way, because us talking about it, we know what we need, but we need the people who can make it happen, right? Do a VPR or do somebody that can come into these sessions and listen, right? And then we can actually show them the data and say, look, this is from so many universities, this is how much IDC this university gets, this is how much this is how much this is how many universities get 0. This is our bargaining power.
By the way, let me just take the opportunity to remind you guys that some of the questions that we had in our session that we were unable to get to them are in the WOVA app, and some actually refer to IDC precisely.
Yes.
So two of those are they refer to IDC. So when you go back to your institutions, go back home, take take some time to fill out those forms so that we can collect all the information and then give it back to you guys, share it with you.
So yeah, I'll close this. So session 1 questions, that is really, it's like a number of questions. The IDC is one of the big part of it. So if you don't want to reinvent or like any more questions or something, so we can just go to the session 1 questions which have been already uploaded. It has the IDC and other questions. So we are really looking forward to feedback.
And whatever feedback comes in, Jorja will summarize it, and then we can share it with everyone. Maria, Kim, anything else to add?
No.
There is a question here.
Okay.
Is it possible to collect all the information for the facilities for different CREST centers and made it available for, scientists and also the PIs of different CREST centers? So,
in our website, we have our facilities.
but is it possible to put because all the CREST, maybe collect and put it and share this information with?
Yeah, maybe.
We need a website. The problem, we talked about it, I know 2 years ago, is like, it's each one of us has their own website, right? And it's not like, we're hosting the conference at the university, so that's why we created the website for that, for the web page at least. But having one, if we need to have a CREST, website to put all of that, somebody needs to manage it, somebody needs to, and it's not an easy task. And usually the way they do it in other cohorts is they actually get a company, manage it, and they pay them. We don't have that kind of funds to do that.
My second question, I'm a little bit confused, but I need help. Maybe somebody who got CREST many years ago can help with that. So is there any restriction on hiring postdocs for CREST?
No.
Because I talked to Louis, he say they have to be US citizen or green card holders, but so postdocs.
The PRP, yes.
No, I'm not talking about the PRP. I'm talking.
No, if you're putting them as part of your budget, you can. No, there's no restrictions.
No,
Yeah,
only for PRP. For
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Guys, grab coffee outside, and then we can have. Oh yeah, picture. Oh, a photo. Can I have your attention for just a few minutes? Just closing remarks, I promise, and then after that I'll let you be. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that made the trip. I know some of you came from East Coast, West Coast, all over the country, right? And we thank you. This has been, as I said, a dream in the making for 2 years to have our own meeting. I'm so happy to see this happen. It's part of our community where we work together. The nice thing about this is just the inaugural PI meeting. Nothing is set in stone. We are welcome all your ideas. We're welcoming all your ideas of how to make this better. Okay. Some of the ideas we've already started thinking of. Next time, we will have a parallel session for early career where we can have dedicated things for early career, workshop, making sure that instead of just the 2 hours, I know people wanted more feedback, we can do that over the 2 days. And maybe have some sessions like the town hall, where we all get together in one room to discuss all of the issues that concern us, but have something dedicated for PIs and directors versus early career. This way we do not have people sitting in a room saying, why am I listening to this? So we're working on getting this optimized. I know it's the first time we did it. We didn't know what to expect, right? We have a very good turnout with early career. We are working, I know with Tomas, we just spitballed some ideas that we're hoping that they can materialize. We want this to be beneficial. Honestly, I don't want it to be just another meeting saying, oh my God, I have to go to just another meeting. No, we need to see like, how can we make it beneficial? Give us ideas. Anything you think, like, hey, it would be nice if you invited this person, that I can go back to NSF and say, this is the feedback we're getting from this community. Can you make this happen? Poster sessions, discussions, maybe like even do sessions where we will have a 5-10 minute PowerPoint presentations where everybody can actually talk about their research, especially young investigators. Don't think that this is the limitation. No, this is just one idea. Next year could be totally different sessions. With the organizing committees, we're going to be meeting once a month to discuss progress and what's going to happen. We're going to have our external evaluator get kind of a summary and send it to NSF and look at all of the feedback. The more feedback you provide in MOVA, the better. Okay? The more feedback you get, all of those polls and surveys, the better. There is a post survey that's going to be released in about half an hour or 1 hour from now. Please, I know it's sometimes tedious, but that input is not going to go into a vacuum. That input will be analyzed, extra analyzed, and see how we can make this impactful. There's a lot of work that goes into these things, right? And we're happy to put in the work, but we want to make sure that this work is actually helping, and it's not adding stress and adding extra things. Now we know when the next meeting is. The next meeting is going to be August 19th and 20th, 2025 in Ontario, California. Not Canada, California. And we're going to be working towards that. We're going to have another early career workshop. How is it going to look? And is it going to be 1 page or 5 pages? All of that we're going to be ironing out, but we're going to do it early in advance so that NSF can then plan of if they want to bring in extra program officers. So we want to make this useful, and we hope that you help us with your feedback. With that, I just want to take the chance to thank everyone that made this possible. I want to thank NSF, Thomas, and the leadership that provided the funding, which we could not have done without them. So please, round of applause for Thomas. He's representing NSF. I want to thank the organizing committee, my co-PIs. Please stand. Arturo, Pacheco-Vega, Maria Tamargo, Pawan, Tyagi, and Kimberley Cousins. Okay. And the reason I'm announcing them is I'm giving you 4 other targets, right? So if you need something and you don't want to tell me, talk to any of them. They're part of the organizing committee, and next year it's going to be Arturo and Kim. So they're the ones who have to live up to your expectations, right? So no pressure. I also want to thank our external evaluators, Jorja and her beautiful daughter, Kat, who has been helping her, right? Make sure that you get all the money, Kat. We've been working with Jorja since we started the CREST, and my colleague Angela was the one who introduced me to Jorja, and I thank her for that because it has been wonderful. It's so great to have that assessment that will tell me, and Jorja is the kind of person that she's not going to hold any punches. If there is something I'm doing wrong, She'll hold me to that, which is great, that's what we need. I want to thank my wonderful staff, Manuela Cantu, Gabriela Cantu, Javi Villarreal at the back, Jocelyn Cantu, she was helping. Please give him a round of applause because they have put in, crazy hours over the past couple of weeks to make this happen. I also want to thank our communications specialist, Maria Gonzalez and Jesus Alvarez at the back. They're not paid by us, they're paid by Dr. Sagan, but they are here to help us. They're the ones who did that video. They're the ones who also helped us design so I've had a lot of support. You can't do this by yourself. You lead. One special thank I want to give to Carlos. So Carlos, please stand up. Carlos Peña Caballero. He had to learn WUVA from scratch. He had to meet so many. He's a lecturer at our computer science, so he has a full load, teaching load, but he's the one who has been helping with the website, the WUVA, the communications, getting the attendance in, registered on WUVA. The amount of work, and he does it, as I said, as a side thing. He's still a full-time lecturer. So thank you very much, Carlos. We're going to have WUVA again, so we're going to purchase the contract for the next 2 years. So this way we can start having that community and getting to know each other. And hopefully next year we'll take more advantage of the WUVA. I know this time it was a first time, but hopefully we'll learn to use it. But the last thing is I want to thank you again. Thank you for making this very special. Thank you for making the time to come here and be here and talking to the students about the posters. It means a lot for the students. It really means a lot for them to see that this is a community. Their stuff is not going into vacuum. Other people look at it. Other people are doing similar things and wonderful things at other universities. And it just shows them that there is a whole community out there, right, that shares the same issues, same difficulties. And we're all part of the same community. I don't want you to think we're not competing with each other. We're not. I mean, contrary to anybody, we're not. We're here to support each other. We're here to lift each other. HBCUs, MSIs, HSIs, we need to work together to support each other, to show that, hey, we can do everything that any R1 can do. Okay? UT Austin, A&M, Ohio State, Michigan, MIT, they're not better than us. We have the capacity, the faculty, the students. We can do wonderful things. What's the difference? The institutional support. That's the difference, right? If you can get institutional support to back you up, we can do as good, if not better, right? That's the one thing that we need to work on, right? And if we can, then we need to help, seek with NSF, how can we get that institutional support? What are grants available to help us with those things? Those are the kind of conversations we want to have. And we need to work together. If we can't work together to achieve this, each one of us pulling, we're not strong enough. But if all of us talk with one voice, we can achieve remarkable things. And it doesn't have to be just CREST. Please look out to each other. See if there is other opportunities. Say, hey, there is a grant. I would like to work with an HBCU. Get in contact. Hey, this would be great if it was 3 universities from 3 different parts of do it. Junior faculty here, take advantage. This is how I started, by going to some of these meetings and making connections. So take advantage of these things. We want to continue this, and we can only continue it with your help and support. So with that, I'm going to close and say that we will see you next year in California, Ontario. Fly to Ontario, not LAX, as they tell you. And we're going to have the buses coming in at about 1. So whoever wants to leave after we finish lunch, we'll have the buses. They'll wait a little bit. So this way you don't have to wait. If you have to catch a flight, we'll have them at 1. And there's going to be one bus, I think, will be enough to take people. If people want to stay around to do some tours, we can also organize that. But for now, enjoy your lunch, and when you're ready, the buses will be there to take you to the hotel. Thanks.
Round of applause for Constantine. He has moved mountains to make this happen.